Jindou,
Yeah, man.
thank you so much for joining me today. It's a pleasure to have you here. CEO, founder
Yeah,
of
founder.
HappyCo, here at Ascend 2019,
Mhm.
and you're no stranger to these user conferences. How are you enjoying it this year?
It's great. Like one of the things I love about MRI is just that the continued messaging around this open platform, like integrating all words that I'm like, I like these words.
Yeah.
And I really think that Patrick has done a great job infusing sort of change in culture, right, across not just MRI but across the industry. So it's been really exciting to watch.
Yeah, and what's been interesting here as an MRI story, they've recently kind of expanded their footprint in Australia.
Yeah.
With the acquisition of Rockend, which is a company you've done business with as well, a partnership there. And
Yeah.
we spoke earlier. You actually kind of started things with HappyCo in Australia. What's that about?
Yeah. So we started the company in 2012, and even prior to that, we was sort of kicking the tires around. And I remember going to conferences and meeting the Maple Brown family.
Sure.
At that stage, it was Alice's dad that was running it. Actually, it was actually Peter that was running it. So it was a great segue into the industry. I didn't know we would want to move to the US, but I actually started investing in real estate in 2010 in the US, in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Cleveland,
Yeah.
actually
Cleveland, Ohio connection. Beautiful.
And Memphis as well. So
Okay.
I kind of understood that the industry was bigger, but I didn't realize how big it was.
Yeah.
So we moved out here in 2012, and really the rest was history. We started selling to a lot of single-family property managers, and in 2016 we actually started to change the business a little bit by selling to multifamily, and so it's been really good. Like the last 3 years have been solid. Where our software is now being used by 2.1 million units across the board, which is really exciting. We have customers like Airbnb, Freddie Mac that use our software as well.
So what have you seen over the last few years, especially in this multifamily sector? What kind of changes are property managers experiencing?
Yeah, so I think that one of the biggest changes is the fact that there's a lot of capital being poured into PropTech in general, right? So someone gave me this stat where I think $13 billion has been invested in PropTech in the last 12 months.
Yeah,
which is a lot of money. And sure, there's a lot of WeWork and
of course.
Open Door. But even if you strip all that back, there's still a lot of capital being poured in. And so, we've been to some conferences where 2 years ago there was like 150 vendors, for example, and now this year it was 580 vendors.
Wow!
Right, so you've seen this explosion in all these startups, a lot of new technology coming up, and so that's really been the biggest change that I've seen. Like just people outside of multifamily trying to come in and solve problems, which is exciting, but also it's a bit of a challenge for our customers.
Yeah, and it's what's interesting to me is it seems like with so many of these startups in other industries, they come up with some new piece of technology and they try to sell off right away. Where we're seeing a lot of these companies harnessing that and growing within this industry and maintaining that identity. Yeah. And so we are seeing so many vendors with so many different niches all coming together and finding ways, again, unlike other industries, to work and connect together.
Yeah, and I think that's partly the ecosystem, right? Because you have some of the large players who don't want to work with other players. Yeah. And then you have like people like yourselves who are very open to working with players. So I think that's been out of necessity. But you have like Avid Exchange, Nexus, who have built little niches, but really well-run niches, like huge revenues. So I think we'll continue to see a lot of consolidation in different areas. There's a ton of people that are doing roll-ups, buying all the different PropTech companies, and I can think top of my head maybe 6 or 7 that are doing that. But a few of them aren't doing a good job. A few of them are doing a great job. Like you guys have a very unique strategy in that global outlook, which I don't think anyone else is doing that. So, which is exciting. Yeah.
So from a HappyCo perspective, what have you guys been up to? What's new and exciting on your end?
Yeah. So we've been, for us, it was always getting to a certain number of units on the platform and doing it well before we started to build other products or other technologies. So we got there at the end of last year, and so we've got a few things in the works. One of them is like a work order, but more like a task management platform that sits on top of like an MRI, like
Sure.
work order. So that's coming out, and that's super exciting because it continues to solve post inspection, right? Like how do you manage? It's like a mobile solution for work orders essentially.
Sure.
So that's exciting. I'm working on a project called Cerebro, and if you're an X-Men fan, Cerebro is what Professor X has that controls the world.
Yeah.
And what it is, it's essentially just a middleware integrations layer. So if you think of all this software that's coming out, none of it talks to one another. And your best efforts as MRI is good, but there's another 30, 40, 50 new startups that are coming out of the woodwork. So we're building this layer where all these technologies can integrate into one another and into the big systems as well. So that's super exciting.
It's interesting because so much of what you're talking about, what MRI is talking about here, is being able to connect and work with other systems. It's kind of a safe haven for people to actually work together versus that super competitive kind of nature that you'll get in other industries. Here, especially right now, there's just such a push for everybody to work. What's the best solution for everybody? How can everybody win? You're seeing clients here collaborating with other clients and giving away best practices for the good of the industry, right? And that's something I feel like doesn't really exist in many other avenues.
Because I think in a lot of industries it's a bit of like a zero-sum game, like I win, you lose. But in real estate, you can't really own every single piece of multi. It doesn't work because it's so fragmented, like just geography-wise, right? So I think by nature, there's more than one winner in like from a asset owner and a property management perspective. So I think that's great. Even like Greystar, they can't buy they've 500,000 units, but to get to 20 million, it's impossible for them. So I'm really encouraged by the industry and what's happening.
What's interesting for me, and I don't know if you have a thought on this, but the market, the real estate industry has just been growing, expanding, and we're just in this massive growth period, right? And it makes it a lot easier to play together, right? When the market relaxes, does some of these things change though, right? Is that something that happens?
I definitely think it does, right? So I'm old enough to kind of see if a few of these waves kind of hit. But what I think, so the way we think about it, HappyCo, is we really focus on operations and maintenance at this stage. We're not thinking about marketing, leasing, and all these other pieces. And so I think when there is a correction or a downturn, if you can't charge more rent, the other thing to do is to improve your operational efficiency. And so we've just like the software that we've been building has really been trying to focus on these areas, so that when there is a downturn, we can help our customers take advantage of that. I think it will hit us probably in the next 1 or 2 or 3 years. But having said that, a lot of capital is still around. I think I read somewhere, $2 or $3 trillion are just sitting on the sidelines waiting to be deployed in multifamily. And so people are like, cap rates are going down from traditionally a 9, 10 now to like a 6, and like the large REITs are buying at a 4%. So it's crazy, but they're still buying.
And it just keeps going. And everyone's just waiting for that shoe to drop. But even then, it doesn't sound as though it'll be as extreme as we've seen in past.
I don't think it will. I think. I'm hoping that we, as a human race, we're getting smarter. I'm hoping that
learning from our mistakes, maybe a little bit.
Even I don't even learn from mistakes. So I don't
know. Well, Jindou, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you stopping by. Hopefully things are going well for you at the conference. You're meeting with clients and things are going well. And I wish you all the best, man. We'll talk soon.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Take care.